What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So a little bit more positive injury news for the Chargers. Yes, they are getting back both Melvin Ingram and Justin Jones, both guys on the defensive line. It's been a while, but luckily they're finally healthy, it looks like, and will be able to contribute and hopefully get another extra stop or two that the Chargers need to be able to turn this thing around. Of course, only losing by one possession games ever since the beginning of the season. I mean, they only won by one possession, but yes, hopefully they'll get a lot more of their guys back. And then, of course, they're mentioning that Anthony Lynn, the head coach of the Chargers, is not on the hot seat, according to ESPN. So, I mean, they usually have reliable sources. Depends who said it or who reported it. If it was Adam Schefter, I believe him, but if it was a beat writer for the Chargers, I probably wouldn't believe it. But I mean, as of right now, it does look like they do trust Anthony Lynn, which is cool. He's been given a bad break with injuries and just not being able to finish out these games. And plus, he had Phillip Rivers as his quarterback for a couple years. So yeah, I'd be upset too. But yes, hopefully he can turn around, like I mentioned, getting some more healthy players back. And then the free agent center right now for the Lakers, JaVale McGee. He did sell his Encino house that he had bought from Mark Anthony, I believe it was, a couple years ago. He's had it for 5 years, but maybe it's a selling point that he might be leaving the team and going somewhere else. Wouldn't be surprised if he could get more money somewhere else than the Lakers right now. Just up to him, but yeah, it would suck because he's a cool guy to have on the bench, but you could always have another plug-and-play defensive player type of center out there anyways. And then Jake Garcia, the USC commit, who's out there in Georgia playing high school football right now. Apparently, he is trying to get into another school. Somehow that doesn't affect his eligibility like the other Georgia school, so we'll see if he can play. But it did come to a surprise within the last week or so that USC did offer a rising 4-star quarterback recruit in Jaxson out of Utah. This guy has been one of the hottest guys in high school right now, just jumping up the charts. He was a 3-star at the beginning of the year, but threw for almost 4,000 yards, almost 50 touchdowns, and only a couple interceptions as well. And he can run the ball too, so it'll be great to see him in like a USC uniform, but he kind of doesn't look the part. So I wonder if they're just doing this type of weird offer to make sure Garcia stays with the team, or if they're looking at a different option in case Garcia might leave as well. So the guy's pretty talented, that's all I care about, and looks like he could be coming to USC if Garcia doesn't, and I'm fine with that too, because Miller Moss, who is also a 4-star quarterback that committed to USC, looks pretty darn good as well. So the Trojans will be pretty good right after Keaton Slovis leaves, whether it's the next season or the season after, depending how long he wants to stay. So yeah, be very cool, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna try to get this video done with this light flickering, but yes, both JJ Redick and Seth Curry, formerly of Duke, led the NBA in 3-point shooting percentage, which is really cool. But of course, the Lakers didn't get either of them on their team, but just shows how good these guys were, and they should be on definitely better teams in my opinion, but we'll see how that goes for them in their future. Sweating up here. But yes, and sadly, Giuliano Falanico, a linebacker, I believe he's a linebacker, defensive end for USC, did suffer a high ankle sprain, and they said he should be back for the ASU game in a couple weeks, but seeing what Jimmy Garoppolo went through the past couple weeks, I'm sure they're going to take their time, so he might miss a game or two, but at least the season doesn't count, so he can still come back if he wants to. But just as long as you're healthy, you don't have to get major surgery as well. It's better for him. And then they did an update on the draft order for the Chargers. Of course, I'm just interested just because the Chargers haven't won a game, but a lot of the NFL has just won one game as well. And apparently, if the draft started today, they would be picking 8th, which is an improvement from the last time I mentioned this, but of course it's still, they should be definitely a lot lower. By the way, they've been losing and been playing as well, so hopefully they can get a top 5 pick if they continue to suck. But like I said, I think just more guys are going to become healthier and end up being on the team anyway, so I think it's a lose-lose situation for them anyways. And then when it comes to a bit of Lakers news, they did a mock draft saying that they would pick the Duke point guard Trey Jones later in the draft if they do end up keeping their first round pick. It's really cool, but I just don't think they're going to end up keeping that pick. I hear a lot of news about a trade with the Detroit Pistons, but of course I haven't heard a mention of my guy that I wanted them to get. Like I mentioned in the last video, it's Derrick Rose they're trying to get, great point guard for the Chicago Bulls. But I don't know, if you throw in my Duke guy, then I'll think of it as a good trade, but hopefully get something in return for it. Hold on, I'm gonna try to fix this light. It's dying on me. So yeah, and then they're actually trying to stretch out, or actually even get rid of, because that's what they've been doing with Luol Deng's contract, another ex-Chicago Bull, that they had signed him to a 4-year, 70-something deal, and I think they got rid of him the next following year, even though he didn't play that first year and still got paid like $18 million. But I guess the contract they made up, or the deal that they did, was they would stretch it out by like $3 to $4 million every year until like 2022. So the Lakers are still paying that dead money for a contract that a guy who only played 1 year after he stopped playing with the Lakers in Minnesota, and then hasn't been playing since, but still collecting the check, which is, I guess, cool for him, but not cool for the Lakers because they can offer another a larger mid-level exception for a better player, or another extra contract for another bench player as well. So hopefully they will be able to get off that, but I just don't see how they can technically, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Pretty interesting. And then, yes, one of my favorite players coming out of high school the past couple years at wide receiver, or even linebacker if he wanted to, Bru McCoy. He is finally what looks like to be 100% healthy for the USC Trojans, which is what I'm happy about. I mean, this guy's had a crazy journey back to USC because he was committed for a while to USC, especially when he found out that Cliff Kingsbury was going to be the OC, and then once he found out he was leaving for the NFL, he left to Texas, his second option, which hurt even more because I can't stand Texas. But yes, luckily he did get homesick and some other stuff happened. I think some coaches left that he liked, and luckily he did come back to USC the following year, but he had to sit out. And then he did suffer like a weird type of condition or injury. I think it was like some type of sickness he was dealing with. He lost a bunch of weight, finally got over that, and he's finally back to what he looked like in high school, physically wise, and they show him making a lot of plays, even though he technically probably isn't going to be the starter, but I think he's going to vie for that starting spot that Michael Pittman Jr. left to go to the NFL last year. So definitely very happy for him. He was reminded me of Juju Smith-Schuster or TJ Houshmandzadeh, those bigger, thicker wide receivers. And of course, even Juju in high school played linebacker as well, so that's why I always felt there was a big connection, and he had to be at USC because he was one of the better players at the time at either position. So definitely glad he's on the team, definitely glad he is healthy as of right now. Hopefully he can show a lot of those doubters down in Texas or anywhere else, shut them up, and yeah, we'll get this going. The season should be coming up in about 2 weeks, so hopefully it goes off without a quip. So thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Sorry my stupid light keeps running out, it's weird, never seen it do it before, but yeah, sorry if this part of the video sucks, but I ain't gonna redo this shizzle. So thanks for watching, have a great rest of your day. Fight on.